Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping into the shoes of two senior back-end engineers to get you totally ready for your next software development interview.
That's right. We are tackling Python wrapper functions, and we're going to take you from the absolute basics all the way up to some advanced mock interview questions.
So here's our interview prep roadmap. 1. The security check analogy. 2. Solving code duplication. 3. Inside the Python decorator. 4. Mastering args and kwargs. 5. A real Django production example. And finally, 6. Acing the mock interview. Let's get into it. Section 1. The security check analogy. Understanding the concept.
Okay, before we even look at a single line of Python code, let's ground this concept in the real world so you actually get what a wrapper does. Imagine you're visiting a tech headquarters for your interview. Step 1, security checks your ID. Step 2, you enter the actual building for your visit. And step 3, security logs your exit.
Right, so that whole security process is basically wrapping your visit. Your visit is the original function, and the security check is the wrapper. It's seamlessly adding behavior before and after the main event.
Section 2, solving code duplication, why we need wrappers.
Now, interviewers definitely want to know why we even use these things in the first place. Imagine you're building a REST API using Django REST Framework, or maybe you're deploying some microservices on AWS. You've got backend APIs to create, delete, and update users. Well, the bad approach is manually calling an authenticate function inside every single one of those operations. You just end up creating a total nightmare of duplicate code. The wrapper approach, though, that lets you write your authentication logic exactly once in a wrapper that automatically surrounds all your user functions. It gives you incredibly clean, dry code.
Section 3. Inside the Python decorator, the code.
Look, if you're learning decorators for your interview, you absolutely must understand wrapper functions first, because every decorator internally uses one. So what is a wrapper function? It's simply a function that surrounds another function, adding extra behavior before or after it runs.
Exactly. It's literally like a physical gift wrapper surrounding a present. A wrapper function structurally encloses the original function to just inject extra layers of execution.
Let's actually read through this code line by line. First, we define our outer decorator function, which takes in a function called func. And then inside that, we define our inner wrapper. It prints before function, it executes our original func, and then it prints after function. Finally, that outer function returns the inner wrapper. Boom! That right there is the core engine of every single Python decorator.
Section 4. Mastering args and kwargs, the crucial fix.
Okay, you really need to pay close attention here, because handling arguments is exactly where so many junior developers totally fail the technical interview. So what happens if our wrapped function actually takes arguments, like, say, an add function that takes 10 and 20? If our basic wrapper accepts absolutely no arguments, what do you think Python is going to do?
Crash. You get a type error. Because the basic wrapper accepts no arguments, but our add function passes 2, it completely breaks the application. In a production backend, that is a total disaster. So how do we fix it? By using star args and double star kwargs. Your interviewer is 100% going to ask about this. This is special syntax that allows the wrapped function to accept any number of positional or keyword arguments, which basically makes your wrapper universally reusable. Here's what that fix looks like in code. We pass star args and double star kwargs into the wrapper definition and then unpack them straight into the inner function call. We then capture that result in a variable and just return it. Now all your data passes through completely safely without any errors.
Section 5. Real Django production example.
All right, to really prove you have backend experience, you've got to show how this stuff is used in actual production code. Here, we're using a custom calculate_time decorator on a Django REST API endpoint that fetches users.
Under the hood, the wrapper grabs the start time, runs the SQL query to get all users, grabs the end time, prints the difference, and then returns the user data. It's a classic way to monitor API performance.
And beyond just performance monitoring, experienced Python developers rely on wrappers basically everywhere. We use them for logging, enforcing authentication on APIs, checking permissions, caching Redis data, or auditing background tasks in Celery workers.
For sure. Whether your code is running locally or scaled all the way up in a Docker container, wrappers are what keep your core business logic incredibly clean.
Section 6. Acing the mock interview, rapid-fire questions.
All right, it's time for the boss fight. I'll play the interviewer, and let's hear the senior-level answers from you. First question. At the end of the decorator,
Why do we return wrapper without parentheses instead of calling it with parentheses?
The crucial thing to remember here is execution time. Doing return wrapper with parentheses is wrong because it executes the wrapper immediately during definition. The correct approach is return wrapper without parentheses. This returns the function object itself, so Python can store it and call it later only when the endpoint is actually triggered.
Great answer. Next follow-up question. Can the internal wrapper function actually return a value to the caller?
Emphatically, yes. In fact, it's highly common in decorators. You just execute the original function, capture its result in a variable, do any post-processing you need, and then return that result at the very end.
Okay, final question. An interviewer might try to trip you up on naming conventions here. Is the word wrapper a reserved Python keyword? You can confidently tell them no. Wrapper is just a community convention. You could name it inner, execute, XYZ, whatever you want, and it would still be totally valid Python. But, sticking to wrapper ensures other developers can instantly understand your code.
You totally nailed it. To summarize all this, wrappers surround functions to add extra behavior, they use args and kwargs to stay universally generic, and they return the function object, not a direct call.
Exactly. But remember, in a real interview, the flow is just going to keep progressing. You've mastered wrappers, but what happens when wrapping a function accidentally erases its doc strings and metadata? Are you ready to dive into the advanced magic of functools.wraps next?